Welcome to Real Herbalism Radio, show 164, recorded at our River Road studios. Today's show is brought to you by Get Healthy Now with Candace.
Get Healthy Now with Candace, connecting people with plants to transform lives. If you would like to learn more about how you can get healthy now, contact Candace at gethealthynowwithcandace.com.
Hunter Creation. Do you need a website or a brochure to sell your business? Hunter Creation can help you. With over 20 years of experience and know-how, they can get your message designed and printed or published on a website. Contact them at huntercreation.com. Occupy Medical.
Occupy Medical is a free integrated health clinic in Springfield, Oregon, and you can find us at occupy-medical.org. We are a 501c3 operation, and this is now the time to start sending in your donations so you can get that tax write-off. So take a look at our website and be healthy. Healthcare for all. That's our motto.
All right. Ace High Heat Graphics, custom and printed apparel. Are you looking for a way to get your logo or message on a shirt? Ace High Heat Graphics has many options in ink, from one color to full color, from small pocket-sized prints to full front or full back printing. Let them quote your job today. Contact them at sales@acehighheatgraphics.com. And we have Sue Lupe.
Yes. Sierra Lupe Herbal Consulting is the way that you would take your existing condition and add some herbs to it. I can do either in town or I can do online. So just contact me at Sierra Lupe Herbal Consulting at gmail.com.
All right, Herbal Nerd Society.
The Herbal Nerd Society is an awesome group of people who have gathered together to learn all kinds of cool stuff about herbs.
And to support practical herbalists, Real Herbalism Radio, because they just love what we do, and they say themselves $4.99 a month, and I get a article just for me every single week, and I get to learn about an herb once a month, really focus on that in ways that you don't normally see.
Not to mention the incredible backlog of old Real Herbalism Radio podcasts they get access to every month.
You stay up night after night listening to the melodious sound of our voice talk about herbs and holistic healing night after night after night.
They are the best. We love them.
Yep.
And make sure to find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on the YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah,
we have YouTube videos. Yes, we do.
We do, and we also have the podcast. So if you're not a big fan of putting it on your phone or subscribing that way, you can also listen to the most current episodes on YouTube.
Yeah.
So and you can comment there and make some noise and waves, and we'll see that.
Yep. So, and write a review, please.
Yep. Always write a review. Remember, you can write reviews at iTunes, now on YouTube, of course. Or any other place where you get your podcast, Stitcher, with Libsyn and Pippa and a whole bunch of other places. Even on, you can get it now and you can get it on your Alexa.
You were just saying words that don't have any meaning to me. Well, but for those of you out there, that means something. Happy day for you.
Well, we found out that 1% of our listeners listen to it through a Google smart device or a Amazon smart device. So that'd be another way for you to apparently listen.
That's pretty cool.
Right. But I'll never put one of those in my home.
They do scare me a little bit. It's a little iRobot.
You know, I have to worry about my camera turning on, let alone a device listening to everything I say. Yeah. And trust that they're not going to record it. Yeah, no.
Well, maybe you're just too interesting already. The CIA's got an implant in there, so you don't have to worry about it.
It's just... no, too much information.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So we are talking about herbs for anxiety and depression in the holidays. This always is a tough time for many people for the year. It starts off with Thanksgiving and family and friends and meeting people, not meeting people, the stress of getting everything together, the stress of the right gift, the stress of the right meal. There's ways to cope. Some of them are not healthy, like
drinking
in bourbon
under the tray
or beer for the year. And there are other ways that are healthier. Today, we're going to talk. Sue and Candace are going to talk about healthier ways to take control of your anxiety and depression through the holiday season. So without further ado, here are your hosts, Candace Hunter and Sue Sierra Lupe.
I'm Candace Hunter.
And I'm Sue Sierra Lupe. And welcome to Real Herbalism Radio. Yes, sir.
So where are you going to start? This is a huge topic. How are you going to delve into this one, Candace?
You know, there's 3 important approaches that I take. The first one is to really keep moving. You can't let depression or anxiety stop you in your tracks. So part of keeping moving is, actually getting exercise, even if it's just a walk around the block. Mm-hmm. Keeping moving is important.
So how would you go about keeping moving? I mean, I know for me, when I get down, if I don't have an accountability partner, it's not going to happen. So for me, I need somebody.
Yeah.
Someone to get you motivated, and you need something to stimulate your dopamine, which is your motivation neurotransmitter in your head. So if you're having trouble with your dopamines, then you that's an indicator. You got low motivation, and you're just feeling kind of drowsy and feeling moody. And
so
will working out or exercise help with dopamine?
Definitely helps with it. Yes.
Yeah, I like to, like I said, get in motion in some way. Mm-hmm. So whether that means beginning by just writing a list, the motion of moving my hand across the paper or typing will begin the motion. But then I have to take it into full body motion, like walking across the kitchen and turning on the kettle. Mm-hmm. And then I like to use herbs that get me in motion. And I don't think stimulants are what we're talking about here. For me, it's like the liver herbs. Mm-hmm. Something a little bit bitter, like some motherwort, can help me feel a little bit better, but it also gets my liver moving a little bit.
Right, sure.
And I like to use, burdock and dandelion are a nice pairing for helping get the liver energies moving, get my digestion moving, and if I can get those things moving, a lot of times that gives me enough energy that I can convince myself to walk down to the corner and back, or, take a drive, or just get a little bit greater motion, get a little bit of exercise. And once I get the little bit of exercise, everything else starts to feel less depressing, and it feels like I can actually get through the challenge.
Yeah. I think for me, I just have my little thing in my head where I have no interest in things, and I'm just not motivated at all. And instead of saying, "Oh, Sue, you silly old bat," I take it off of me as a person, and then say, "Oh, it's just low dopamine. So why don't you just go take those little hormones by the throat and tell them what's for." And having some a cup of green tea is nice, particularly in the winter, because that's where you get the L-theanine, which really helps with mood as well. Mm-hmm. And then a bit of caffeine, which is always nice. But like coffee, I will have that in the morning, but I can't have that in the afternoon. I'm going to be awake all night.
Which will exacerbate the problem.
Right. But green tea doesn't have that effect on me, at least. And it actually helps me with sleep later.
Yeah, so in fact, I just added a few sprigs of fresh rosemary to green tea today. Oh. To kind of just give it a little bit more stimulating without overstimulating. Uh-huh. It was nice. It was refreshing.
I put some in my tea today. Well, I started putting spearmint in there because it's really refreshing.
One. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Postmenopausal women should just do a little bit of.
And if you put peppermint in, it would be a little bit of a holiday drink.
That's very true.
Spearmint is the one that's really safe for pretty much everybody, pregnant women, children, everything. It's safe and fairly gentle. Mm-hmm. Peppermint is a little bit more strong, but it's really for as long as you're not pregnant and you're not breastfeeding and you're not, of ill or frail health, peppermint's a really good one. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it's a little better of an oomph.
It feels good in your mouth because it tastes like toothpaste already.
Oh, yeah. No.
It does for me. Like, that's what I remember. It tastes like toothpaste. So my it's a bit cool.
Yeah, it's invigorating.
Yeah, it's invigorating.
I was thinking more on the little candies and candy canes that have the peppermint kind of not toothpaste.
Yeah. Peppermint, it has that holiday feel about it too. But yeah, I think just mint in general is a nice thing, and things in the mint family. I think about lemon balm, that helps with the blues. And I know a lot of people that in the winter, they'll get really kind of low and then stressed, and then they start getting a herpes outbreak.
Oh, yeah, because their immune system starts to become compromised at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say herpes, like cold sores?
Yeah,
Cold
lemon
sores,
balm
yeah.
is great for those cold sores.
Yeah.
And making sure you have enough selenium in your diet too is very important. That keeps off the herpes, because the herpes are a problem.
Yeah.
But that's a nice thing for because selenium is one of those electrolytes.
Yeah.
So you really need that.
Yeah.
So just make sure when you get the nut mix don't throw out the Brazil nut, because that has twice as much of the selenium that you need for the day. So
Yeah.
go ahead and munch on that. Just have one a day, and you'll be able to keep your selenium load up.
Yep. Yeah. So getting moving is the first thing that I go to. The second thing is
Well, no, I was
getting
just going
good
to add
sleep.
that there's always time to do something to move.
Yeah.
I heard a historian the other day talking about how every day, FDR, 2 hours in the afternoon,
Exercised?
every
You
day,
found a way. Yeah.
every day. And even if that meant there was dignitaries in the office, they went with him, and he would do this walk in some park that they would go to, and whatever they encountered, they had to cross. So if it was a river, they had to cross it.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a rock, they had to climb over it. Doesn't matter what it was. They went down a path, and that was it. They did that every day for 2 hours. Now, he also did a nightly cocktail hour, too, that you couldn't talk about the war, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah. But
giving yourself a little vacation, that's
Yeah.
important, and getting your blood moving.
Yeah.
And I've had much better problem solving when I'm in action, when I have my little group of people around me that are my problem solvers, than sitting in a room where it's after lunch and about ready to fall asleep.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and most solutions to my problems come when I'm not doing the thing that I need to fix the problem at. It's
Yeah.
usually outside of the thing.
Yeah, it's taking time away from the problem, not focusing directly on it. Usually, your peripheral vision kicks in, and then the solution appears.
So you can always make time to do it. And with all the things that we talked about, always try to have somebody that you can either do it with, or if you can't, someone you can at least call and make sure they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I always have to hire somebody, like a trainer.
Yeah,
Or,
hiring a
you know,
trainer is a good thing.
For me, that's the accountability. So
Yeah.
because my wife can't do it, because I get upset with my wife.
No, we fight.
But if I'm paying somebody to tell me what to do, then I'll do that.
Yeah. Maybe you should pay me to tell you what to do.
Sure, that will never end in tragedy. My son, Aaron, my youngest, he has been taking the championship role with his friend Nick for doing weight training, because his friend Nick was like, "Oh, I don't like the way I look right now. I just feel out of shape." And so Aaron said, "I will be your trainer." And so Nick and Aaron work out on the weight bench, and they do exercises and jump rope and all that every other day, which has been good for both of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, like you said, dude, with the dopamine thing, it gets addicting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I don't work out, when I don't do things like that, I get ornery.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I miss it, and then I crave it. So I have to make sure to make time for it. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do is to stay active, to help our bodies naturally do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
What's number 2?
Get good sleep.
Get good sleep.
Sleep.
Gotta be
Yeah,
able to
first.
rest.
Yes.
And one of the insidious parts about both depression and anxiety is that they really interfere with your sleep patterns.
Yes.
And
they
that
really
makes the
do.
whole problem worse.
Yeah. And for lots of different reasons. Sometimes you're not eating at the right time. I had to change the time when I ate to a little bit later, or I would get hungry in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
because I eat small amounts anyway. I've never been very good at eating large meals. So I just had to change it to a little bit later. And otherwise I wake up and I'm like, I got to go get something to eat from the kitchen, 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah. When your body, instead of digesting, it should be repairing and integrating stuff from the day.
Yep.
And then you're waking up hungry. That's not
Right.
working.
Yep.
So, I mean, when you're putting your chickens to bed or your ducks to bed, you should make sure they go to bed with a full crop.
Yeah.
Which means they've eaten relatively recently so that they're not hungry first thing in the morning. That way, I mean, they'll wake up hungry even if they go to bed with a full crop, but you don't want them starving first thing in the morning because they'll make poor choices, for one thing, when they race out of the coop. But they'll also, if you're a little bit late letting them out, that could become problematic,
So now we're talking poultry criminals.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, I mean, same thing goes for people.
Yeah, definitely. You see the effect with teenagers and, they're kind of picking at their food and they're not eating the right stuff. They're just eating a whole bunch of sweets.
Yeah.
Then it bodes not well. Their energy goes up and then it crashes.
Yeah.
Because the sugar wears off and
ouch. Yeah. It also pays to know your digestive system well, because for some folks, they'll need at least 4 hours between their last food that they ate and going to sleep so that their body can be far enough along in the digestive process to not create like indigestion or reflux.
Right.
So, it pays to know your body, to know whether, how you're going to be processing your food, I guess.
Yep. Give your body something to do. At night, sometimes I've gotten out of, for whatever reason, late shifts or something, out of the sleep pattern that feels comfortable with me. So I've always noticed if I take passion flower, then that freight train of worry that goes rambling through my head, that kind of stays at the station instead of rolling around between my ears. Nice.
Nice.
So I've been really consistent about telling the patients that come in, say, I just lay there and I think, like, okay, passion flower is your buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I found passion flowers helpful for that, and skullcap has been surprisingly helpful.
Yes, and skullcap paired with oats
yeah.
is a great combination because oats are so good for your nervous system just in general.
Milky oats specifically,
yeah. Yeah, but just like a bowl of oatmeal, like, stick to your ribs kind of stuff. And, if you can handle I know it has gluten in it, but that is just good food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a bunch of herbs that we really like. I have on a list here, we've already mentioned motherwort and passion flower, skullcap, and oats. Kava kava is something that people use for putting themselves to sleep. And for some people, if you have a liver that's compromised, that's not a good herb for you. Right. But yeah, if you just need something to knock you out, kava kava is quite the.
That's one of the ones that I've used when I've got a lot of nervous tension, but it's not necessarily like the nervous tension is primary and the excessive thoughts might be secondary to it. Then kava kava helps the nervous tension to relax, and that energy finally like drains away. Huh. And then the thoughts slow themselves down and become much more controllable and reasonable.
Right.
So they're not being fueled by excessive tension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's good coupling with some of the behavior things that, where you're laying in bed and then you concentrate on your toes and relaxing them, and then your feet and relaxing them, and then your ankles and like going up your body till you're doing a mindfulness exercise to help yourself relax. Of course, everyone talks about what's in your room, no blue light, because that will stimulate that.
Yeah, right. Stop using your phone right before you go to bed.
Phone and television, even and computers.
Even though they have the amber screen, like they have night vision now, and Apple does it automatically. It's still stimulating. I mean, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I unwind and then I play a movie or a show or something because because I want to watch it because I didn't get time during the day. But when you're really stressed, that's when you need to stop that. Mm-hmm. Stop it out.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah, it pays to have a sleep routine. The same routine of things that you do every single night, all the time. Mm-hmm. They don't really deviate from that.
Yep.
Now you brush your teeth, and then you wash your face, and then you put your pajamas on, and then you go into your room and you close the door, and maybe you sit down and read 3 paragraphs from your favorite book, and then you put it down, and then you climb into bed, and then you flick off the light. You always do it in the same order.
Right.
Because then when you come into the times like the holiday times where there's more stress and you're more worried about things, and it becomes very tempting to skip the routine, if you follow the routine, it will help your brain prepare itself to sleep much more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can calm those thoughts and all the excessive worries and that sort of thing more easily.
Right. With my kids when they were little, because there were so many of them, we would, at a certain time, we would light candles and then put them in the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice and warm, and then the candles were flickering. So it's magical time, and it marked a time. Now we're getting ready for bed.
Yeah,
it's a different thing than what we had before. So you had your food and
it's a ritual.
Your playtime, and the candles were a soft light, and they had to be, of course, careful. There's fire around, so be careful.
Yeah,
let's walk softer, and that really helped them too. So
yeah.
Don't be leaving them burning while you sleep.
Yeah, that's unwise.
But just making a change that way.
Having a notebook or a piece of paper and pen by your bed is also helpful, so that if you wake up in the middle of the night, you can't get your mind to stop going over your list of gifts you have to buy or work projects you have to get done or whatever it is that's on your mind, especially if you keep having the same thoughts over and over and over. Taking the time to just write them down, even if you do it in the dark.
Right.
It doesn't matter so much that you can read it the next day as it is that you let it flow out through your hand. It causes it to go onto a different channel of how your brain processes information. And by writing it down, you can clear it from the active, I have to keep this in the forefront of my brain thinking area.
I went through a period where I was really stressed out, and I would wake up and think of these overly traumatic outcomes or things that were stressing me out. And, maybe this person meant this or whatever. And it would turn into this stupid cycle of tension and paranoia. And I started writing down what my little theories were that I thought of at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then reviewing them in the morning and looking at them and going, man, that's stupid. And after several mornings of going, that is dumb. Like that is bald-faced, stupid stuff I just thought of that night and was convinced was true. Then when I woke up the next couple of nights, like, no, do not get on that.
Yeah.
Nope, you already know that's dumb. So just flush that one. Get up, kind of walk around, shake it off, get back into bed, snuggle, let the cats get on you. You'll be fine. Yeah. And it helped, but I just needed a reality check, and having that written down really did help.
Yeah, and I mean, you can always take those pages and burn them too. Yeah. It's winter. A lot of us have fireplaces. Yeah. That just clear it. Get that moving. Right. That crazy doesn't need to stay in this house.
Yeah. The shit that makes, the stuff that makes sense at 2 a.m. does not always look good in the light of day.
And sometimes it's actually brilliant. And if you don't write it down, you'll regret it. And so you'll sit there thinking of it over and over and over and over. So if you took the time to write it down and it turns out it actually was brilliant, well, you'll know in the morning.
Right. Right. If an occasional flash of brilliance happens, which it does, then you've got it preserved and you don't have to think about it no more. Looks like
aside from, writing the list idea at night is really good, but maintaining an overall list of things all day.
Yeah.
Our phones really make it easy. I have an app on my phone that, even now when you guys were talking, something came to my head that I know I have to get done tonight.
Yeah.
But it was free flowing. It's out there. I know, and it's going to take brain energy and brain power. And I have to keep reminding myself. So while you guys were talking, I wrote down a very quick thing. I have to do this when I get home.
Yeah.
Now it's off.
Now you can concentrate in the moment.
Now it's there. Yes. So I think that overall having that management of your list, and even if it's stupid things, I'll write something down that maybe 2-3 hours later, I'm like, it really doesn't pertain anymore.
Right.
It's irrelevant.
But you have the option.
I have the option. It doesn't, I took care of it.
Yeah.
And it also, so it clears my mind, and I also get things done. Because
Yep.
I know when I come back to that list, I got to keep, and you have to review the list. I mean, I do go back and review it because I've put that stuff there that has to be done, but it's not in my brain anymore. And then the other thing I think is, you're right, Sue, albeit I don't always do that at 2:00 in the morning, but communicating the way you feel about something or to somebody without, making that phone call or that rapid fire text or that email that someone wronged you and you're going to fire you just,
Right.
And-
Don't hit send.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I've been a victim or not victim. I've
Been
wrote
the
that.
recipient.
Been the
No,
recipient
I've
and
been
the
the
writer.
sender.
The
Oh,
sender.
yeah.
I've written email that my whole intent was to write the email because I had to write it and then save as draft.
Mm-hmm.
I hit the wrong button.
Yeah, it's better
Oh.
to use a program like Evernote or Notes
Just
or
something that doesn't
even
have a
just
get it
send
away.
button on
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but to communicate the things that you feel
Mhm.
helps you dump that emotion, which then doesn't keep the stress going.
Yep.
And so that's the other part of it. It's the stress going. You may never send that email,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Or you may only take a piece of it out and reword it,
right.
Yeah.
which
Exactly.
I wish some leadership people would think of.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, and it was so funny because I thought of, that's something that, is new. And again, I was listening to this really cool podcast the other day, and this woman who did a bunch of research on Lincoln and these other presidents, and Lincoln had multiple notes, letters to generals and people that,
Yeah.
did things wrong.
Mm.
He never sent them.
The act of writing.
He wrote
helps
it
you
out.
Process
And
it.
now remember,
Yeah.
this is the 1860s, right? So
Right.
he's full on, with
Dippy ink
the
pen
dippy
and
ink
everything.
pen and,
Yeah, he's
and the
writing it.
powder stuff and the whole thing. And these are
Uh-huh.
like full on written letters.
And those
Yeah.
could have been his horrible twits.
They
but
they were
Yeah.
exactly
They
they
were-
were
but
tweets.
then he was like,
they
nope,
were
not gonna send
I'm not going
that.
to send it. And even said on the do not send.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they found all, of course, when they found all this stuff, and it's
Yeah.
part of the archive now. But yeah, I was like, wow, he did it too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just a way to help us with our stress.
Writing it down it moves it into a different place of how it moves through your brain. So if you take the time to write it down, it moves the emotion out of where it's stuck and gives it a channel that's safe. And if you do it, part of why longhand writing is actually really valuable is that whether you're writing it like with a pencil or pen on paper as opposed to typing it, it changes how your brain's processing that information.
Mm.
So if you really, especially if it's something that's very deeply emotional and it's connected to things that are like in your past at the holidays, a lot of that kind of stuff shows up, right? We have to go visit relatives that we haven't seen probably since last holidays. And sometimes things come up for you emotionally. If you take the time to even longhand write it out, you'll end up reaching into those deeper areas and you can clear that baggage for yourself. And sometimes the act of writing that stuff down will also help you see it from a new perspective and a new light.
Mhm.
And then that changes your experience with whatever it was that started it, whatever the thinking is that you're having. It changes your process and it frees you. It allows you
Yep.
to move.
Yeah, that's very true. I know that a lot of people feel completely overwhelmed and they just want to go from point A to point B and do nothing more during
Yeah.
this time. There's so much more expectations. Even if you've decided I'm not celebrating any of the holidays, everyone else around you is.
Yeah.
So you may have opted out, but the world around you probably hasn't.
Right.
So it still affects you, and the weather change affects you, and the
Daylight savings time affects you.
Well,
Yeah.
and the holiday season falls in the darkest time of year, which is by like Chinese medicine theories called the yin time of the year. It's the time of the year when we're supposed to go inward. We're supposed to give ourselves time, be patient with ourselves, get quiet, allow the emotions and all of those things to exist. Allow them to be. You don't have to fix it or figure it out. It's not a problem-solving time. It's a time to just sit with it and let it evolve and change, and the deep areas of yourself refill and shift like they're supposed to.
Mhm.
The holidays, sometimes interfere with that, in that we as a culture become frenzied with trying to make them as active, and we're moving and moving and moving through the holiday season, which to some extent might be a fear of actually facing that deep, dark place, but it's also harming the deep, dark place. The deep, dark place needs its time too. Just like in the blaze of summer, we should be out enjoying the sun and having long days and, getting together with other people and being very social. That's a time of year when you need to do all of that. And you do need to find some balance by finding some quiet times when it's the really hot, warm time of year.
Right.
And in the winter, we need the holidays for some of the fire that it brings. So it's valuable. But when we spend all of our time in holiday craze and we don't give ourselves the time to experience and feel some of those feelings, we're shortchanging ourselves.
Yeah. And with you mentioned the change of time and the light, the issues of light. There's light boxes that people can get to help them with that. Making sure you've got this. I know a lot of people poo-poo supplements, but
vitamin
there's
D,
a real
vitamin A together.
Even up to 2,000 IUs is not a bad idea.
And some
it makes
people,
a big difference in people's lives.
Some
B12
people are not as well, they're genetically or whatever, they're not as well suited to making vitamin D easily with a small amount of sunlight.
Yep.
Those folks really need to take it.
Yeah.
Because it creates great health problems for yourself if you don't.
Yeah.
And seasonal depression is one of the first and easiest signs to recognize that your body's not making enough vitamin D.
Right.
And just drinking milk may not do it. So take the supplement, vitamin D supplement paired with vitamin A.
Yeah. One of the doctors that work in the clinic was just saying this week, there's a test you can take that's expensive to find out if you don't have enough vitamin D. And here in Oregon, he says every person that he has sent to get that test has always been low on vitamin D. So he's like, don't get the test, just take vitamin D.
Yeah, and it's not going to harm you. The reality is vitamin D supplementation is not likely to harm you if you are a person who happens to be able to make a lot of it easily.
Yeah.
For the most part,
just take,
take it.
1,000 IUs at least, and good Lord, there's other things that you can keep an eye on. Your vitamin C content. Your vitamin A helps with stress as well. Yeah. It's a great, I think of vitamin A for anxiety, people that have anxiety issues. So there's a lot of foods that are high in those. It's a great time to have fruits and vegetables. And I like having dry fruit combined with nuts in my little stash. I have some in my car. So when I'm sitting at the light, I'm nibbling on those things because it's a good concentration of the fruits and vegetables, particularly dried blueberries, because I have the aging eye issue, and the cashews, because cashews and pecans and pistachios, which have melatonin in them, and that's what I can really use too. And then the cashews are high in magnesium, and I know my blood pressure is fairly low, so I'm not taking it for blood pressure, but boy, it helps with the twitchy eye thing that I sometimes get.
The magnesium is really good for muscular health in general. So regardless of what your blood pressure is or isn't, it can help your muscles better, just build and maintain themselves. And that includes your heart muscle.
Yep.
So it's really important.
Very important for cardiovascular health.
Yeah. And for endurance.
Yeah. And we should mention lavender. Because speaking of sitting at lights, when you start feeling overwhelmed, like myself, I'll feel overwhelmed. I have a little thing of lavender that the essential oil. Yeah, the essential oil. Yeah, thank you. And I'll put that right on the base of my throat to make myself feel a little more relaxed, and especially in traffic. But there's a lot of people at my clinic that they come back for the lavender all the time. I like to combine it with California poppy for people in a syrup that I make.
So you're talking about whole plant lavender or lavender flowers for that.
Yeah, and that's a easy syrup to make. And the California poppy on itself doesn't have much of a flavor, but you add that lavender, and it's a nice addition. And I always throw extra powdered vitamin C into the syrup, particularly at this time of year, because people need it.
Yeah. It's not going to hurt them.
Yeah.
I like California poppy for helping get a good night's rest too.
Yeah.
It's a
pain
really
as well. Yeah.
It works. I've paired that one with passion flower often,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes valerian root, depending on the level of anxiety the person's dealing with.
Yep.
The folks in my life who tend toward anxiety seem to do well with valerian as a relaxant.
Yeah. And anything that's going to reduce inflammation, because inflammation is linked to depression.
Yeah.
So anything that's going to help you.
Inflammation is linked to
It's linked to everything.
And
yes.
disorders. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But something that's helps you with inflammation, then that's going to reduce a lot of those feelings of the blues, and sometimes you just need to get some good old fashioned turmeric or ginger in your life.
Yeah.
I'm always a big fan of those two, and St. John's wort helps a lot too.
Yeah, St. John's wort is one of the ones that I like for folks who are not on depression medicines. If you're on a depression medicine, you need to be careful about
an
that.
SSRI, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have to be careful about St. John's wort.
Yes.
Because it is also an SSRI, and that can exacerbate the SSRI results that you have. I know for some people they're on SSRIs, which is a prescription medication for your serotonin re-up inhibitor, and instead of increasing the dose, some people have added St. John's wort to it.
Right.
So
there's a lot of creative things you can do using St. John's wort with prescription medicines, both for, changing how the prescription medicine is working and how you want to wean on or off or levels.
Mm-hmm.
The really short and simple is, if you're on medicine for depression, don't take St. John's wort.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not wise to do it. If you're going to, make sure you're doing it with a trained herbalist and your physician,
right,
or your prescribing physician or psychiatrist or whatever. Make sure that they're working together.
Yeah, it's contraindicated. Yeah. For my happy herb, that my favorite this year is Tulsi.
Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah.
Holy basil is another name.
I grow that one in my tower garden so that I can take off as the tops. It wants to go to flower fairly quickly.
Yeah, it does.
So I snip the tops and to help keep it a little bushier, and I put it in my jug for water for the day.
Oh.
And it'll actually, in the wintertime when it's not as hot, it'll last, I can do up to 3 days usually. So I just keep refilling the water.
Okay.
And keep pouring it and drinking that all day. So it's very lightly flavored Tulsi water.
And isn't there
refreshing.
Holy basil or Tulsi essential oil? Because I can imagine it's such a wonderful smelling herb.
I'm guessing there is. I haven't worked with that one.
I would just roll around in that.
Yeah.
It's like a cat and cat.
Yeah, it is. It's a lovely, and it's really surprisingly easy to grow. I mean, indoors. It's surprisingly easy to grow indoors.
Yeah, you have it's a house plant.
Yeah, that's what my tower garden. Yeah, my tower garden's an aeroponic garden, so it's a house plant for me.
Oh my goodness, there's just so many great ideas. I really want to make sure also rhodiola, rose root, which I think of because it's a nice nerve tonic and it helps with the norepinephrine levels. So for people, you don't have to take that much of rhodiola, but just having a little bit of that for people that tend to burn the candle at both ends just consistently, like they're in the helper position, EMTs or nurses or.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I like to be careful with it. I don't necessarily like to say, oh, just take it.
Right.
Because to some extent it is a little bit of a stimulant. So it gives you more energy, which is great as long as you're taking care of making the changes in your life you need to make so that the amount of energy you normally have is enough.
Right.
So you don't want to I don't like to use the like roseroot and the other ginsengs and things like that. For folks who are unwilling to make the life changes they need to make to reduce stress and reclaim their, ability to make their own energy and not need a stimulant. But for folks who are temporarily, for instance, temporarily through the holidays when you've got family coming, a little bit of boost isn't going to hurt you.
Right.
And rosewood is a nice one for not overstimulating. It's not like coffee, which can cause actually longer problems.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're using it as a stimulant.
I'm thinking particularly this friend that she's in the helping position as a social worker, and she had family members die, just boom, boom, boom.
Oh,
so she had that rhodiola was a perfect thing for her because she still has to work her job. She's still a mom. She still has caretaking in her family. She's still doing. And then the death in the family. And then she was starting a business that she had started just before the family members passed. So rhodiola was a great
That would be a
help
good
for
one
her.
to use.
And just a small amount, like she was taking 0.4 ml every day in the morning.
Right.
Like the way I take ashwagandha.
Yeah.
That made a big difference. So
so the third approach I have to dealing with depression and anxiety through the holidays is to be kind and gentle.
Oh,
and to be aiming to be kind and gentle to yourself and to everybody around you.
Right.
And that includes things like, have a cup of chamomile tea. That's a good tea for the winter. And it's a good tea to deal with anxiety and depression.
And digestion.
It's a good one. It's a good, safe one to just have around. And when you have a family member, your kids, your relatives who are visiting, friends, whatever, who are, starting to really have a freak out or are struggling, chamomile tea is a good one to pull out.
Yeah. And I also think of it as like the booger herb, because there's so much staph that lives up your nose. And during the winter, all those boogers are coming out. So all the staph is coming out. And that's when you get all these staph infections and pink eye and stuff like that. So chamomile is good against that.
Yeah, it is good for that.
Yeah. So
I don't think
now
of it
you guys
that
will
way,
think of it as the booger herb forever.
Gross.
That's gross.
I had the holiday visions of holidays, and then I got boogers.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you rather just think of chamomile instead of the little boogers?
No, actually, no, that's not the way I think of chamomile.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think of chamomile as being really good when you've got cranky people around
Cranky people. Yep. Yeah. They're snots.
Yeah.
See?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I like pairing it with other helper herbs like lemon balm is cheerful. It's a good one for cheering up.
Yes.
So if you've got someone who's cranky and they're tending toward feeling blue and down, a little chamomile, some lemon balm in there, maybe some rose petals. Kind of shows you care and opens up the heart center a little bit. It's kind of nice. If it's someone who's struggling with some anxiety and, they're anxious and worried about things, and at the same time they're feeling down on themselves, chamomile with a little bit of motherwort. It's kind of like a nice little hug from mom.
Yep. Do you ever give people valerian?
That way? Don't give people valerian that way, but that's not to say it would be a bad thing. I mean, I've used valerian myself through the day at times to help with anxiety and panic attacks and that sort of thing, especially when they're not of a specific origin. Like I'm just getting random panic attacks. Valerian is a nice one for calming my nerves. So,
wow. That's quite an assortment. But yes, the kindness herb.
Yeah, kind and gentle.
Just be kind. You are the herb of kindness.
Yeah, yeah. Licorice was the other one I was thinking of as a kind and gentle herb. Oh, it's a harmonizer.
Such a sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's generally, most people like it, and it's just, it harmonizes. It harmonizes your system. It helps your hormonal system relax and rebalance itself. Your body has its own natural balance. It is really incredibly intelligent. And if you can let it get out of its way, it's going to bring you back into the place of feeling good and confident and powerful and relaxed. So
and at the cold time of year, a lot of people get raspy throats. So the sweetness, natural sweetness of licorice is very soothing on the throat.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do not particularly like the taste of licorice, but they better learn to like it because it's good for you.
Well, and there's a difference. A lot of people don't like the taste of licorice candies, the black licorice candies, which
love them.
Which are not actually made from licorice.
They're made from unless you get panda ones.
Well, yeah. So for the most part, if you've tasted real licorice candies like the Panda brand, you'll notice they don't taste nearly as harsh as the anise-based ones.
Right.
Not that I don't love anise too, but it's got a sharper bite to it. Real licorice is more gentle. And if you're putting just a little bit of licorice in tea, it doesn't tend to overwhelm it. It's pretty gentle. It's pretty
nice
quiet.
and sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's a heck of a list of things to do.
One more thing.
One more thing.
Your diet changes dramatically during the holiday season.
Oh, yes. Very true.
Yes.
Usually a lot richer foods, desserts, sweets. Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated and keep moving.
Right.
Stay hydrated, not just with eggnog, especially if your eggnog has a lot of rum in it.
Right. Water.
Try water.
Every morning,
Yeah.
and I know this is simple, and a lot of people don't even do it, but every morning, have a pint of water.
Yep.
Before you have coffee, before you have tea, drink a pint of water.
Yep.
Yep.
You've just went through
you're
a hydro fast all night.
Yeah.
Have a pint of water in the morning. It will set your day right and make up for some of the stuff that you might have done the night before.
Yeah.
Have lots of water.
Yes.
Stay hydrated.
That's a good tip. Yeah. Thank you, Patrick.
So that is a lot of stuff.
A lot. The show notes are going to be extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Huge. Huge.
Bigly. Yes.
So, well, with that, guys, I guess the holiday season is almost here and it's almost upon us. And as we always say,
Put an herb on it.
The statements made about herbs and products on this podcast have not been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. All information provided on this podcast or any affiliated websites is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for advice from your physician or other healthcare professional. You should not use the information on this podcast and its affiliated websites for a diagnosis or treatment of any health problem. Always consult with a healthcare professional before starting any new vitamins, supplements, diet, or exercise program before taking any medication, or if you have or suspect you might have a health problem. Any testimonials, questions, or case studies are based on individual results and do not constitute a guarantee that you will achieve the same results.